Heavensward is the first expansion to the underdog game of Final Fantasy XIV. Here I believe Square was wanting to show how far they have come from A Realm Reborn. One way to tell is the format for trials. Here, major story moments are tied to the trials more, and some are built around lore or references. So, instead, we take on 7 trials in this expansion, not including extremes. 4 are part of the story, while 3 are part of some kind of questline expanding on lore or cool references. Most of the time, it's a combination of both. Plus, it is an improvement from the base game on mechanics and visual design. Keep in mind, this is my opinion. If you have yours, I would like to know them in the comments below. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in with my top favorite trials in Heavensward. Number 7. Zurvan, also known as Containment Bay Z1T9. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Why is Zurvan so low on the list? Well, let's get to details first. Hope you are aware of your Final Fantasy VI lore and of course the Final Fantasy XIV spin, because this guy and 2 others will be making an appearance. And of course, there are some differences. In typical fashion of Final Fantasy XIV, they bring in these characters or enemies and put them in the lore with their own spin. Having known this concept made me excited for the future, which we'll get to in time. Now, Zurvan is part of the Warring Triad, gods that are made into statues that protect the world in a balance. Upsetting that balance can cause the world to fall apart. Now, I'm not going to go to do any lore dive here, but I highly recommend you to look deeper into the game, or especially Final Fantasy VI, considering its references. But I will say this one thing, there are the statues, but the containment bays are exactly where they are captured. Just like any other trial, this is an 8-man battle with a minimum level of 60. This trial is the third of the 3 trials that are separate from the main story. You start out on a platform with Zurvan in the center. Looks like he can't move much, swinging his blade around hoping to get a scratch in, making the fight seem pretty straightforward. As the fight goes on, you begin to notice the floors are falling apart, edging closer to you and the party. With these AoEs, after the last tile has fallen, the team lands on a new arena made for Zurvan to move around more and be able to attack the team. Now, of course, the fight does continue on with, I like to call, 3 phases for this one. So this second phase is mostly just him sending out a bunch of AoEs and attacking you. And then you continue on to take on the fight until he is down. Coming in at number 6, also known as Containment Bay S1T7, Sephiroth, the first of the Warring Triad, the big guy himself, the one that many people who have never played any other Final Fantasy thinks it's Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, I guess the name is close, but not the same, and definitely not similar in concept. Anyways, this fight begins pretty simple like any other trial. He stands before you and your team, ready to throw down hands, I guess you can say, while also throwing in some AoEs and adds for you. Once you have lowered his health enough, he falls to his death. To begin phase 2, of course, music begins to drastically change, and then hands raise up on the platform. Well then, it seems like someone has gotten buff. With his size so much bigger and the music begins to play in tune, we are set for another fight with Sephiroth. Unable to move, but his attacks hit hard and can send you flying off the arena if you're not paying attention well. This once made it unable to revive your team, if so, but thankfully this has changed. I enjoy Sephiroth more because this fight made a great impression to start the Warring Triad for me. Although someone else may came a little bit further, this was a good start for these 3 trials. But of course, there's still so many more that grabbed my attention. Number 5, Ravana. I got you there. I thought I was going to say the last one, didn't you? Well, no, not yet. There's someone else who just loves the thrill of battle that had to come to the spotlight first. That is right, our one and only, I guess only? Well, we'll get to that later. Ravana. Anyways, this fight is actually our first Heavensward trial in a hunt to take down primals from the land. Of course, this is part of the main story and our Warrior of Light has a job to do. Especially when the bug guy has been getting lots of worship lately. This fight is part of what I like to say is part of the basic trial battles. He is of course standing ready to throw hands. Yeah, lots of hands in this expansion I see. With us in the other end of the arena, now this fight does have some interesting mechs, such as reflection of attacks if you attack him at the wrong times, while also being more aware of your surroundings for when he blows you away. By the way, please pay attention to the butterflies. It helps a lot to try to take out all the ads in this fight. Now the reason why I rank this one here is because it's Ravana. He likes the thrill of combat with the world's finest hero, so why not have him a little bit higher than the others? But that's just my opinion. Coming in at number 4, and now we can come to the second and last trial of the Warring Triad crew, Sophia. Hope you like falling off the battlefield because this time Sophia has some tricks in line for us to handle. The first half is where we begin to have to watch out for mainly just AoEs and ads. Simple as it can get while she just moves around in the arena. It isn't until her second phase that we need to pay attention to our surroundings more. And the music starts to pick up here a little bit more, something a little bit more fitting for her. Seems like Heavensward trials love pushing their players off the cliff for some reason. Pay attention to her lines. You are golden because you will be going back and forth a lot in this fight. I rank this fight here for the reason as to what they are simply doing in the arena. It is one of the fights that I had actually focused on other points of the fight besides the boss itself for once. And of course, the music here is top notch. Number 3, Bismarck. Alright, I'll be 100% honest here. The music is bopping here. This was the literal moment where I started to enjoy the music in this game. Up until this point, I have been listening to the music, but it hasn't really grabbed me yet. There were great tracks I've noticed after replaying A Realm Reborn content, but I was mostly focused on the story when I first played the game. Then this came up alongside others as well and changed the game for me. Alright, with that out of the way, let's continue. This fight is different for most of the time. We're on a platform fighting an enemy we can't reach yet. It's different from past trials, where we just beat up whatever is in front of us. This one, we have to focus on the ads, fire the cannons to pull him in and attack when ready, in a similar fashion of Leviathan. But with this one, we have to actually get on the enemy in order for us to attack. So keep that in mind whenever we're doing this, please, newcomers. But other than that, I really just love the fight because it's in the sky and the music is great and it throws in a new twist when it comes to the trials. After the fight is done, we continue the story, chasing down the final area in King Thordan. Okay. Whew. This one was a tough one. I have changed these last two several times, over and over, because they are so great and memorable moments for me in the game itself. But I believe I have made a final decision here that helps. Trust me, this is the reason why it took such a long time for me to get this video out. If you know Heavensward Trials, then you will understand why these two would be here. Nidhogg is a great finale to the story of Heavensward. It is reigning in all the big major story bits leading up to the final confrontation with the one and only dragon that held on to the war between man and dragon. King Thordan is gone and it is time for Nidhogg to follow. So the battle begins with a smooth and calm theme. The Dragon Song War. Nidhogg roars and tries his best to take you and your team down. But he also tries to send in ads to take care of you. Now, on Extreme, it's a little bit more work here, but as long as everyone plays their part, it is fine. The music begins to change. It builds up the Heavensward theme. An Estinian wearing red armor and wings shows up, jumping into our team with abilities from dragoons. After much damage is taken on, the music builds up even more. And then, Nidhogg returns. The sky is red and AoEs are everywhere. Make sure to stack and wait, otherwise the party will be wiped. This fight was amazing. The music, the boss phases, this was a great trial to be able to end the Dragon Song War, Heavensward, showing how far we have come as trials for Final Fantasy XIV. But, I must say, there's someone else that took the crown on this one. Number 1. King Thordan. 4 words to remember. Knights of the Round. I'm a huge fan of the Knights of the Round summon in Final Fantasy VII. It was a summon that was very hard to obtain, but very well worth it. You see the Knights doing their own individual attacks that was visually amazing at the time. Looking forward to what they do in the remake, by the way. Back to Final Fantasy XIV, the story is reaching its end with King Thordan's side of the story. One of our biggest threats to the Dragon Song War. It is time to put it to an end. At least that's what we thought at the time. It's no lie when I say I love this fight more just because of the Knights of the Round. The fight itself was another great example of it. It shows and it just starts with amazing music facing King Thordan himself. Straightforward fight, but amazing music and arena. We reach a part of him when he sends out his knights after us. Just like the summon from Final Fantasy VII, each of them come out to do their very own attacks. Easy AoEs to avoid, but still want to pay attention to what you are doing. It comes to a close with King Thordan calling back his knights. They surround us. The arena turns into space with Earth behind King Thordan. That big blast of power blows us away, literally and figuratively. Although it wasn't enough to defeat us. He goes into a weak state and we finally defeat him. And that, right there, was the end of the first part of Heavensward. Heavensward was a good showcase to how far the team and Creative Business Unit 3 has come with Final Fantasy XIV. Each trial seemed like they were improving even more from the last one, showing us different mechanics and new ways to battle our foes. AR had an interesting start, but I must say that the improvement to this expansion has really shown how far they can go with the game and its battles. But, of course, they just keep getting better. Now, coming to an end, keep in mind these were just my opinions on the trials. I am sure you guys have your own too, so let me know what you guys think. What is your favorite Heavensward trial? Now, of course, some of mine could be a little bit biased considering some of the things that it brings to the table, and of course the music itself, but I want to know what you have in mind. With that being said, I look forward to what comes in the future, and definitely will get right into the Stormblood one eventually. Now, stay optimistic, keep it real, and I shall see you all in the next one. Peace out.